fatal heart impacts, past painful scars. In fact, I blast tasteful bars and pass. I back up my actions, fact don't ask, grab reactions, jacked attack with every word, then act with class as they hear me snap. I got nothing to lose, cause I fought and felt the bruise. Now I'm not the one confused, call the shots and they produce. I ain't lost, I'm finally loose. Pick a new silver excuse, I need the views to boost me to a new abuse of being used. Everybody wants a piece now, y'all can rest in peace now. You're dead to me, so peace out. Remember, you're discreet now. Get ready for defeat now.
Alrighty, hello everybody. This is Kirusho here, and now, whenever we last left off with this series, we had Izuku Midoriya, and, well, what did happen in the last part? Izuku Midoriya, bitten by a werewolf, and injected with the blood of an elder vampire. He flatlined on the operating table, before coming back and viciously attacking and murdering an elder, who was attacking Celine. Now, with that being said, Celine, obviously she cannot go back to her coven. And this is very bad. Now, there is also the situation with Midoriya, who he does want to go to the police station and get his mother. However, there is simply just one problem. If Midoriya does go to find her, there is a chance that the lichens that work in the day, they will be able to actually find out that Midoriya is connected to this woman. In fact, there already was a theory since she did go to visit this guy in the hospital. However, they couldn't exactly connect her to him. Now, the only thing that they really do know is that Inko had a silver knife, which is suspicious. However, not out of the ordinary. Now, we actually do have Izuku, who whenever day actually started to get broken, was asked to take over driving. Celine telling Midoriya that if he does begin to start feeling a burning sensation, to simply just duck down and to try and at least drive as far as he can. Now, this was quite peculiar. Celine waiting to take control of the vehicle back from Midoriya as she's ducking down. The moment the sunlight does break and hit his skin, she knew that she had to take cover, and that Midoriya was immune to its effects. Now, Midoriya did just continue to drive, as he was actually able to pull into a dark alleyway. Now, the moment he actually does do this, Celine does jump out of the driver's seat, as Midoriya is able to actually get out of the passenger side. And Toga herself does actually crawl out from underneath the back seat. Now, Midoriya does just simply ask them exactly what's going on, as she does instruct Midoriya that they have to hide during the day, remember? So why don't I have to then? You don't possess our weaknesses, and you're dangerous because of it. Really? So, does that mean I'm stronger than you? I would not go that far. That wasn't an answer, Celine. Now, I'm guessing you two are going to hide in there until nightfall. You can do that. However, I'm going to go get back my mother. Now, Celine would just directly look at Midoriya, as she actually does pull a blade, before turning around, telling Midoriya that if he does intend to leave here, then she will not allow him to. Going to go see his mother will be a very bad decision. Now, she's telling Midoriya to simply just wait until nightfall, and under its cover, they can go get that woman. Now, Midoriya does begin to walk away, Celine actually moving towards him. Her going to use her vampire speed before Midoriya, he just does actually run, The moment he actually has run, he uses his speed, getting out into the sunlight before she can even get past 3 steps. Now, with that being said, Midoriya does stop running after getting down the street. Him actually then at least stopping and almost tripping over. The more he does, he just looks down at his hands, as some people do take notice of this. One man actually bending down and asking Midoriya if he's alright. Midoriya jumping up and saying to the man that he's fine, bringing his hand up. The man seeing that Midoriya's fingernails are at least a bit more sharp. Whoa, that's a nifty quirk you got there, kid. Oh, yeah, Midoriya would say. Him stuffing his hand into his pocket. Quirk. Now, Midoriya, he does just hang out for a minute, as he's sitting in front of a shop watching the TVs, remembering that just a few weeks ago, or what, 4 weeks ago probably, that the UA school had their sports festival. That was pretty interesting though. I wonder what happened with that. Now, as Midoriya is watching the TV, there actually is a news report, as they do actually continue talking about the mysterious bombing that took down a hospital. Talking about how there is currently a suspect at this police station that is, and then it does show a picture of Inko, saying that an unidentified woman, she has refused to give her name, and she is currently a Jane Doe. Now, with that, Midoriya, he does hear that part, knowing that that police station is all the way across town. Now, Midoriya, he would actually decide to try and think about things a little bit more tactical, as he does head over to the area the police station is in, and he does actually see everything. Plus, there's the way his body does currently feel. He hasn't slept in about 3 days, and the amount of sleep he does get, his body was fighting an infection. So, the fact that he's still up and moving around does feel impressive. In fact, well, he has never felt like this before. And just think that this must be because of that vampire and, well, werewolf thing. Now, Midoriya does inspect the police station, as he does just begin to wait. I'm actually on the top of a building, as he does actually try to mess around with his mutation, or what he believes to be a mutation, quote unquote. Now, he does just try and make himself turn, as he does just begin to start getting angry and trying to focus, as he actually does feel the transformation beginning to take hold. Now, Midoriya would just set his hands directly down on top of, well, the area in front of him, as he then does bring his eyes up, as everything in his eyelid, or everything in his eye, just shoots black. Now, Midoriya would notice that everything does feel brighter in the sunlight, as he also then does look down at his arms and inspect them. Midoriya finds it all to be quite interesting, as Midoriya actually does bring his hand up and smash down on the AC unit directly behind him. The moment he just does inspect his arm once more. Okay, I need to get used to this. It's so amazing. His power. I like it. Now, Midoriya does do one thing, as he does walk over to the edge of the building, and just actually let his hair fly in the wind, as he actually does jump off the side. Now, Midoriya, he actually does have somewhat of a plan, as he does bring his body downwards and he does push off the side of the building. Him being able to slam into the side of a building as he does actually catch onto it with his claws, before throwing himself over and beginning to start running. Now, Midoriya does begin to mess with these abilities for a few hours, as he's on and off with them. Him doing things well and things unwell. One point being where he tries to jump the gap in between two buildings. Him over jumping it and breaking his leg whenever he does land. Him breaking his leg by putting too much weight down on it and then falling forwards. His kneecap throwing backwards as he does fall and fly through a fire escape. Breaking it as he goes smashing between two walls. Now, that was quite bad. And Midoriya, he did actually attract the attention of somebody. Now, whenever Midoriya was actually found, the person who did find him did see him. Him laying there on a pile of garbage and, well, metal. As they do ask the guy if he's okay. Now, Midoriya actually just have his hand come out of the pile, grabbing onto the piece of metal as he does try and pull himself up. Now, whenever they do actually see Midoriya, they actually do begin to back away. And they scream out, "Villain." Now, Midoriya actually does pull himself out of the pile, as he then does actually just sit down in the alleyway, bringing his hands down at his leg and pulling down on the bone, as he does somewhat scream a bit, like a dog. Now, once that does actually happen, Midoriya just does sit there, as he begins to start calming down, his skin returning to normal, as police officers do eventually come by, and they do actually see Midoriya, who is just sitting down in an alleyway sweaty. Them saying that a man reported a villain over here, asking the young boy if he is hurt. Now, Midoriya doesn't say a thing. It's clear that he does have a wound on his leg, as Midoriya would just point, saying that the villain went that way. Now, both the police officers just tell Midoriya to stay here, and that an ambulance will be on its way. Now, with that being said, Midoriya, he does actually then hear that. Fuck, if he goes back to another hospital, that's not good. Now, Midoriya does begin to start wolfing out once again, as he does make his skin turn blue, and then pulling himself to his feet, as he does begin to start putting pressure down on the leg a little bit. And he does feel it. His bone is already healed a bit. Okay, that's good. Him turning around and putting his claws into the wall, as he just does begin to climb, not using that one leg. Now, Midoriya would make his escape, as the police officers would come back around. And, well, the kid's gone, along with the strange claw marks and the wall. Now, one of the police officers, they do know what these claw marks are, as the man just does somewhat smile, wondering if there's a pro hero just like them. Now, with that, we do actually cut to a few hours later, where Midoriya, after stalking out the police station a bit more, does eventually find that the cover of night has fallen, as Celine does find him. Now, Midoriya, he actually does look at Celine whenever she does actually try to sneak up behind him. Him just saying that she doesn't have to hide, he knows she's there. Now, Celine and Toga do pop out. Toga just asking why it's so important that he does get that lady back. Midoriya saying that that lady is his mother. Once again, I believe that this will be stupid. You really want to put a human woman in the middle of all of this? Hmm? This? I don't even know what this is. Whatever you turn me into, I do hold quite some power. And I gotta say, it's pretty nifty. I broke my leg earlier, you know? And even now it feels better than it's ever have. And I think I almost killed myself. Hmm? Yeah, a metal bar almost went through my face. Hmm. As long as it doesn't puncture your brain, you'll be fine. Hmm. Really? Is that all it is? Yes. As long as it doesn't puncture your brain or anything harm comes to your brain, you'll be okay. Along with your heart. Those are the two major organs you have to avoid damage to. Otherwise, death will be permanent. No coming back from that. Now, Midoriya does understand. As Celine then does actually ask Midoriya that if he does leave now, his mother will be safe in prison. And that breaking her out here can be avoided. Talking about how lichens might have less pull in jails. Midoriya informing Celine that that won't happen. If any case, well, being in jail would be worse. What, suspected of being a terrorist? Not a chance. Besides, if they do ID his mother, they'll have his real name. Now, this is whenever Celine doesn't say a word. Midoriya just standing up, as he does take this shirt, or the, well, piece of clothing he's wearing, and takes it off. As Midoriya then does actually begin to start turning blue. As he does just begin to start breathing heavily. And the transformation does take over. Him then turning around and looking at Celine, who does tell Midoriya that this is her last warning to him. Now, Midoriya, he does just scream at her, before turning around and going to jump down off the building. Now, Celine does just watch, as Midoriya he's falling before he does just smash down and land, before getting up and going to attack the police station. Now, Toga would ask Celine if they are going to follow him, to which she does just reply no, and that the hybrid will actually discover things himself. Talking about how her family died when she was young. And if this is a lesson that this young immortal is going to learn, then he's going to learn it the hard way. Now, we do actually cut to Inko, who is sitting inside of his cell. A police officer asking her one more time exactly what is her real name. Now, she does just tell the man that she's already given her name. To which the man does reply that they've already ran her under that name. And they've also run her under this name, along with this one, and then this one. Stating that they're getting closer and closer every single time she just throws out a new name. Now, the man does just say that they've also actually had somebody say that they do recognize her. And it was a call in. Inko immediately, at least, freezing. The man saying that the woman's name was Mitsuki Bakugo. Inko then just looking at the man a bit worried. As he does just say that that's it, isn't it? Him then actually just leaning in a bit. As he does just say that he knew it was her. That means that you are the mother of Corvinus, aren't you? Now, this does somewhat freak Inko out. As the man does just go on stating that he knew it. Now, as the man does begin to continue talking, the lights do cut out. As we do have Midoriya, who, outside the police station, ripped out all the power cords in a power box. Now, lights do flick on from the emergency generator, as we do cut to inside, where a window does break, and police officers do begin to hear a roar. Now, the Lycans in the station do recognize it, as multiple of them do actually begin to try and transform. Now, Lycans begin to transform inside of the police station, as we do have Midoriya, who in a somewhat controlled state is aiming himself at the Lycan, as he's attacking. Now, multiple police officers are screaming in the darkness, as others, they are pulled away into nowhere, as Midoriya actually does tackle himself into a Lycan, him grabbing the guy as he does jump into him, and smashing him into a jail cell, as Midoriya and the man do fall in, Midoriya bringing his hand backwards and using his claws to slash away at the man's face, as he does bring up his left hand and just begins to start slashing away at the man as a feral beast. Now, the moment he does so, we actually have Inko, who does look and see this as she does just begin to scream. Now, Midoriya, for him, everything is like this. He is seeing red, and all he is doing is reacting to instincts, as he just has this sound going on in his head. Kill, kill, kill. And feast. The hunger is insane. Now, Midoriya has almost ripped this entire guy's throat out, as he then just does throw his face forwards and bite into him, as he does just pull out a large portion, and just begin to chew, as he then just does look up and, well, howl. Now, Inko does see this monster, as other Lycan do begin to howl and scream at Midoriya, as he just stand up and turn around, as he would grab the Lycan by the foot, and begin to move forwards, dragging the body as he has to actually smash it into a Lycan, before taking a desk and throwing it directly at another one. Now, we actually do have a police officer who does come up from behind Midoriya, as he does just put the gun to his back, telling the boy to simply just put his hands up. Now, as the guy does this, we do have Midoriya, who immediately turns around and does grab the man by his wrist, as he does pull the trigger, firing the gun directly into Midoriya's heart. Midoriya just looking down at this, before looking back up at the man, as he would just bring his fingers up and pull the bullet out of his stomach with the claw, as the man just watches the wound begins to heal instantaneously. What the fuck? That didn't even go skin deep. Midoriya just grabbing the man and picking him up, before just smashing him against the metal prison bars, as he would pull the man close to him and begin to start digging his nails into the man's neck, before just smashing him into the bars once again and turning back around. Now, Midoriya does actually fight the Lycan, all of them trying to overpower him in number. However, Midoriya, he outpowers them in one simple regard: strength and allies. Now, Celine actually would walk into the police station after watching a Lycan get thrown through the front door. Her and Toga actually heading in, as Celine does fire into the back of multiple Lycans, and begin to weaken them, as Midoriya would quickly just do one thing: him grabbing a Lycan by its face and throwing his claws directly underneath where the jaw is, as he would rip the Lycan's head off. Now, Midoriya, he then actually does drop the head, as he's breathing heavily and he's covered in blood, as Celine just does ask him if he enjoyed that. Midoriya just smiling, as she would see his vampire fangs. Now, this is when Midoriya, he actually has begun to make his way over to the jail cell that Inko is currently in. And she does just see all this. Her just actually cowering in the back of the cell, the corner where there's a cement wall, as she's screaming at the monster to not take her, and to not hurt her. As Midoriya will reach out and rip the metal gate off of its hinges, before quickly just tossing it down to the ground. Now, Inko, she's fearing for her actual life. And she's thinking that this is the monster that Hisashi did warn her about, to protect her baby boy from. However, she does just watch, as it does begin to shrink down a little bit, and its skin does turn back to humanoid, as color returns to its eyes. And there she does see her son, Izuku. Now, she does just look at him questionably. Izuku? You were the monster? Now, Midoriya would actually go to take a step forwards, saying, Mom, it's a long story. As he does go to bring one of his hands out to grab her. Her just cowering in fear. As she just asks what happened to him. Now, Celine actually would walk up and holster her weapons, before bringing her hands up and crossing them, saying that her son was injected by hybrid DNA. What? What is a hybrid? Now, Celine would give her a rundown. Midoriya was injected by vampire and werewolf DNA. Because of his specialized bloodline and his heritage, he is now the first hybrid, as far as they are aware. Now, Inko, she's completely shocked by hearing all this. First, there was a realization that vampires and werewolves were real. And now there's the fact that her baby boy is both. Now, Midoriya does just tell his mother that they need to keep moving now, and to get out of here. Now, Celine actually does bring her hand up and ask Midoriya if he's sure traveling with a human would be the best for him. Now, Midoriya would just look at her, asking her what she does mean. Her telling Midoriya that once he gets in a more controlled state, the hunger becomes a little tougher to manage. Control? What are you talking about? I have as much control as I need. Now, she does then turn her head to look at the bloodbath around them, as she does tell Midoriya that this is not control. Now, Midoriya does argue with her, and Toga does ask if they need to get out of here anytime soon. Now, Inko does actually leave with them, as Midoriya would carry her out of the station and actually have her climb onto his back, as he would take off running. Now, with that being said, I do hope you guys enjoyed, and have an amazing night. Catch you guys in the next part.